Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped. The leaders in below the waistline grooming. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And when you talk about it being a little fall ball action, you want to make sure that your balls during the fall time of year are not too scary, because we know it's spooky season as well. And the best way to do that is by using the Lawnmower 4.0 and all of the awesome products that Manscaped has out right now, whether you're talking the Ball Reviver, the Crop Refresher. Of course, you got the 2-in-1 body wash, shampoo, conditioner, all that other good stuff. But more importantly, it comes with a promo code. That promo code is MOST. If you use that, you get 20% off along with free shipping worldwide at manscaped.com. So make sure you check them out. Use that promo code. And trust me when I tell you, your dangly twins and all of the friends will enjoy them. So shout out to Manscaped. To me, man, it's multifaceted. Short answer, no quarterback controversy, because when Coach Tomlin made the decision a couple of weeks ago to make that switch, you sent a message to your team. And the message was, this is our new leader. This is the guy that we're following. We're going to build this offense up around him. We're going to make sure that everybody looks at him and respects him as the leader. And that was the clear, concise messaging. No different than when it was Mitch early on. That was the clear, concise messaging. And as I told you, when we switched from Mitch to Kenny, regardless of when it happened, if it was going to happen in week 3 like it did, or if it was going to happen in week 10 or anytime around the bye, whenever you made that switch, you can't flip-flop. If you start going back and forth, the message that you're sending to the team is, I don't trust either one of these guys long-term. I'm looking for short-term solutions, short-term answers. And it would essentially feel like that if it's well, he's playing hot right now for these next 2 to 3 games. Let's roll with him. Oh, now we're going to go back because he had a bad game. It's hard for either one of these quarterbacks to have continuity. It's hard for Matt Canada to have continuity. These receivers, this offensive line. And then on top of that, it's hard for those quarterbacks to get into a rhythm and feel confident. We talk about Kenny and why he plays the way that he does. The confidence, right? He's not looking over his shoulder. We talk about Mitch, night and day early in the season versus yesterday where he didn't have to worry about anything because he had confidence. But you will destroy both of their confidence if you start doing this game of back and forth. And I'm speaking from personal experience, because when you start feeling as if I can't make a mistake, that's when you start playing tight and you start to get more conservative. And when you do that, it looks like how Mitch looked early on. So short answer is that. But in terms of some of the in-depth that could muddy it up a little bit is this week in particular. What is Kenny's availability in practice? We know he's in the concussion protocol. If it's a scenario to me where he can't practice at all this week, I don't want to put him out there on Sunday, because to me, he still does some stuff that rookies do. Now, he's improving and he keeps progressing, but it's because he's playing in the game and practicing. The same way we look at, Brady, for example, and he missed Wednesday and he's not going to show up on Friday. No wonder he looked like that. It's like, and that's Brady we're talking about. If we don't want Brady, who's arguably the GOAT, to be missing practices, why would we want a rookie quarterback to be missing practices? So that's kind of my energy with that. And now, if he's able to practice, no, man, it's his guy. It's his team right now. He's the quarterback. Coach Tomlin made that very clear. So you roll with him. But if he is not able to practice, if he's not going to be, fully available in that capacity, to me, I sit him and I roll with Mitch this week. But long term, whenever Kenny is ready, that's what I got to go with, because you've already set that tone, so to speak, when you made the move the way that you did. At least that's my opinion on it.
If Mitch plays well, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns or something against Miami, does that potentially change Tomlin's opinion or even your opinion?
I mean, sure. Would it make it more of a conversation? Yeah. But I still feel like, to me, I still am going to go back to Kenny, because Kenny didn't lose this opportunity because of bad play. He lost his opportunity because of an injury.
I thought it was ribs. The concussion was the last thing on my mind.
Well, because he hit his head.
Yeah, when they showed the replay, though, multiple times in slow motion, you could see how he banged it up a little bit on the ground.
So, to me, that's just kind of how I look at it. I'm not one of the dudes where it's like, man, this dude got hurt. He comes in, plays well, we're just shifting it over. If it was both of these guys are rookies or both of these guys were veterans, I think it's a different context. But this is the context for us. Mitch is a 2-year rental, so to speak, or realistically a 1-year rental, just based on how the contract is structured. And Kenny is the first-round draft pick this season, so you're expecting at least 4 to 5 years of him. So when you're talking about that context, we've already made the transition that Kenny's going to be the guy. So it's like, yes, Mitch can come out there and ball out, and it would be great, and it would make it interesting for a conversational element of it. And for the show, I would love it. Trust me, for the show, I would love it. But in terms of going forward, it would still be a scenario where now Kenny's going to get the opportunity, but I would need Kenny to play to a certain level. Because if not, well, now in the back of my mind, what are we all going to be thinking about? Man, has Mitch finally turned that corner? Is this the Mitch that we signed, 30 minutes into free agency? Is this the reason, everybody was excited about him? Because if he's doing that, that's a different conversation. But that has not, the Mitch that showed up yesterday, that has not been the guy that showed up in the regular season here. That was the one that I saw in OTAs, though. Remember we would come home, I was like, yo, man, this dude is clearly the guy. He's the number one. Like, that's what it was looking like. But it stopped looking like that once training camp, preseason, and regular season hit. So, to me, even if he did go out there and do it next week and throw for 400 yards, right, if Kenny isn't able to go, to me, I'm still over here like, is this just small sample size, or is this officially who you are? Because I can't forget early on in the season what that looked like. So is this, as long as Kenny is hurt, you're going to play like this, but once Kenny gets healthy and he's standing on the sideline, you're going to revert back to, I don't want to mess up? And that's kind of like my dilemma with it, man. But like I said, in a vacuum, that's kind of how I feel right now. If Kenny is healthy, Kenny goes. If Kenny can practice, Kenny goes. If Kenny can't practice, I'm going with Mitch, because I do not want a rookie at quarterback playing out there, and especially against the Miami Dolphins defense, which is really good, without having a week of practice. Like, that doesn't make me comfortable at all.
Right, and he might not even pass the concussion protocol whenever that hits on Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
I think you said that really well. Quarterback controversy right now is pretty much the last thing on my mind. I'm just so pumped about this win, so impressed with what Mitch did. Obviously impressed with what Kenny did, too. I thought he was playing good. The weird thing about him, because you're going to look at the final stat lines and stuff,
I get it.
Kenny only had 4 series.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And the first drive was really nice. I thought Canada had some nice play calling, and then Kenny had the other one that led to the field goal, and then he got hurt. I think it was the first series in the second half.
No, it was the second series, because
Was it?
We had the kickoff return. With they got the field goal, and then after that was that first play. So he had 4 plays in the second half, and depending on, because I didn't even count, I know he had the 2 like back to back, like pseudo 2-minute things, but one was a 3 and out. The other, I forgot what happened on the other drive, like sandwiching in between, but
there was a sack he took on a 3rd and 7.
That's what it was. Winfield,
yeah. One of the dudes came rolling in free. It looked like there was miscommunication on the O-line.
Because they did that like 3-man stacked up, look together blitz. I ain't never seen. I was like, yo, what y'all got going on down there, man?
Yeah. So I don't think, Kenny's stat line should be really looked at as a negative. I'm just more impressed with what Mitch did yesterday. Like I was really, really impressed with that.
And as we, I mean to cut you
off.
But
but then in terms of this quarterback controversy, I'm not even worrying about that until both are available. I think it goes really to the crux of what you said, because if Pickett doesn't pass the concussion protocol, it doesn't matter. Mitch is just playing this week. But if Kenny's good to go this week, I'm with you. Stick with the guy that you picked for the rest of the season. Basically, with Tomlin putting him in the Jets game. That's what he was saying. We're rolling with Kenny as the leader.
And you think about, like, when it happened, remember, when we came up here and talked, it was like, yo, regardless of if we agree with it or not, when you make that move, you stick with that, right, wrong, and indifferent. And I just think that, was it premature? You can make a case for it. Was it a little bit knee-jerk or in the heat of the moment? Sure. But that's just a part of what you have to deal with. So that's why I don't really get too enamored with that decision when it happened. And even now, I'm not about to act like it should be a quarterback controversy, because once you made that decision, you made it clear that this is no longer a competition. This is not any type of controversy. We are turning the keys over to the new regime, to the new guy. That's why you drafted him in the first round. We understood, even with Mitch being here, it was always going to be this bridge type of concept unless he came out and lit it up to the point where we're like, hey, we know this is the guy. But Mitch in his career hadn't really shown that anyways. So we already had this concept that eventually was going to be Kenny's job. But when you turn it over to him after 3 games, it's like, yo, you got to stick with it. So, yeah, as long as Kenny is healthy, he could practice. Yeah, he goes, man. Like I said, the only way it becomes a controversy is if Kenny goes out there and starts playing bad, because that opens up a door. But he has to go out there and play bad. We haven't seen him do that.
No, we were up whenever he got hurt.
And there's no point in starting a controversy for the sake of a controversy. It's like, what we getting pissed off about? Like, come on, man. We know what this is, man. One guy's hurt right now. When he comes back, it's his spot.
You know why I said it was only like 3 or 4 series? It was only really like 3 full series.
Yeah.
Because you're right. The kickoff return, when we get it down to the 10.
We got on like the 10, yeah.
Right. And then the one we scored at the beginning, the other one we scored the field goal, and then the other one he took the sack, and then the one coming out of the second half.
That's it.
And then there was the other one though. It was, like
a
30
quick-
seconds
yeah.
before.
We ran the ball.
I didn't like that clock management
Well,
right there,
because
man.
the thing was,
It's a tough give and take though, because you want
Yeah.
to take your shot, but the Bucs still had those 2 timeouts,
Yeah.
and Pickett threw it out of bounds. I don't know who's supposed to have that wherewithal. Does
Well, to
Conlon
me-
just make the call and say, no, we're running this, or you let Pickett, a dude that's probably trying to make a play, and then he throws it out of bounds just probably by habit. That stops the clock, which was unfortunate at the time.
So I looked at it a couple ways, man. I looked at it in the sense of, man, we got 30 seconds plus the ball. Let's be aggressive. And I thought you run the ball the first play just to get the clock rolling, and you try to make a throw, and it does is incomplete. All right, cool. And then when you see them take the timeout, it's like, dang, all right, now they're trying to get the ball back. So now you're kind of stuck in this bind of, do I allow my quarterback to make a play? Do I allow my quarterback to be exposed to potential negativity as well? Rookie quarterback, end of the half, we're playing lights out essentially at that point of the game. To have it where it is, it's like, let's just get into the half. And that's the part where I could understand them taking that approach. So even though I wasn't necessarily head over the hills with it, it was kind of like I could understand it, just because it's like, man, if you've put together this half the way that we put together, why blow it by having a sack, a pick, or anything?
That would have
right
meant
here?
they just ran it 3 times with
Correct.
Najee instead
Yeah.
of trying to pass it on
But
the first
because
play.
when they passed it, it was like, that's
Like, what do you do there with Pickett?
Yeah.
Do you slide and just take the sack? Because that
But
would have
to
been.
me- but that's-
you're
that's
just
a-
heat of the moment,
yeah,
though.
I'm
It's
like,
so
I'm not
hard
gonna
to do.
tell him that he needs to be thinking slide right there. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, it just sometimes bad stuff happens, man. And that was no different than the snap that Mitch ended up falling on, right? It's like, yo, you can't account for that type. It just happens at times, man. Luckily, we got the bounce to go our way.